I am a witness to all that is and all that should not be. I am cursed with a vision that forces me to see. Sometimes I pray to an unmoving void, for the day that I may close my eyes to the horror which fills me inside. The teeth in the gears of the killing machine are getting sharper as time moves on. As the politician's wingtip presses on the gas, 1,000 soldiers will soon be gone, plowing through the land to annihilate for peace. Another war child is spawned, sowing seeds of destruction in the name of the beast, damned for all time. Those are some lyrics from a band called Corrosion of Conformity in a song called Damned for All Time. Thought I would open up with that. I think it's some pretty powerful and to the point lyrics right there. You are listening to Black Helicopter Radio. My name is Ed Walker. Today we're going to be discussing something I know all too well, and that is the war on drugs and just the total hypocrisy here in America, and the fact that we have big pharma pushing the worst, most devastating drugs down the throats of the citizenry. Well, an herb like marijuana can put you in prison. Um, the website is blackhelicopterradio.com. Also, if you want to listen to us on the blog talk, it is www.blogtalkradio.com/antimatterzone. And so, yeah, let me just get started then. Like I said, the war on drugs is something that's always I've seen firsthand, because I used to live in southern Arizona, very, very close to the border. And at my high school, drug use was so incredibly rampant. It was amazing because, for one thing, it wasn't a rich neighborhood, but it was definitely not poor. It was middle class, I would say. Not quite rich, but definitely not poor. A lot of people worked for a major military-industrial complex company, a company that makes missiles, that employed literally a huge portion of the town. Which is funny because that's a huge part of our economy now, is on making drugs that poison you and weapons that kill you. And anyways, so yeah, people were working there, so it was pretty financially, for the most part. The kids were pretty decent. And that actually is a recipe for disaster when people have money and you're so close to the border and drugs are so readily available. I knew a girl who was 17 or 18. I wasn't close friends with her, but I did know her. She overdosed on heroin. There was another kid that overdosed on OxyContin. Um, I knew a friend I had died being on drugs in a drunk driving accident. I mean, just massive, massive drug use. Heroin was epidemic there. It was crazy. The war on drugs is a complete and utter failure. I'll say that right now. In high school, I could literally get, if I wanted to, some nasty pills, or yeah, even heroin, easier than I could a bottle of vodka or a pack of cigarettes. That alone just shows you how huge of a failure it is. The thing is, with alcohol and with tobacco, you have to find someone willing to buy it for you, and a lot of people aren't because they don't want to risk getting in trouble, or they don't ethically feel right. And also, you're limited when you're in high school to most of the people that are older are parents, so they're not going to do that. But yeah, drugs were just readily available, and I don't think that's a mistake. I think they really want people to get on drugs for multiple reasons. One thing is drug addiction directly is linked. Illegal drug addiction is directly linked to big pharma, with the fact that they have drugs to get you off of drugs. So you get hooked on one and then get put on another through big pharma, so they can make huge profits. So, for example, if you're addicted to OxyContin or heroin or any opiate, they can put you on methadone or Suboxone, which is a methadone type drug, to fill their pockets full of their legit drug money versus the black market drug money, which they're both equally as destructive ultimately. So the war on drugs, I know many people who were arrested. They would do huge drug busts. I heard about some friends when they got arrested. It was in the newspaper. It was just, I couldn't believe it. And I mean, I've lived in different areas, and I can tell you, being down in southern Arizona was far worse, far more rampant than the other parts of the country I've lived. And that just all this ties in also with the border being completely open. They're just bringing in drug dealers selling heroin to high school kids. Yay, open border, awesome. You um, so yeah, the war on drugs is a war against the people. It's a war against your mind because ultimately drugs decide, can determine the state of consciousness you're in. So the fact that they won't allow you to, alter your mind with whatever substance you choose is just completely bogus in itself. That's one thing. See, a lot of people, the pro decriminalization or even legalization people, they argue. I think they need to argue from a completely different perspective. How about you own your own body and you should be able to do what you want with your body as long as it's not hurting other people? Instead of saying, well, we need to legalize marijuana because it can be used for medicinal purposes. Hey, that's true. It can be used for medicinal purposes. I have nothing against marijuana. I don't do it, but I have nothing against it. It is absolutely the thing that's been shown to do is absolutely miraculous. I've seen I can't think of the disease unfortunately right now, but it's the disease that Michael J. Fox has where they can't stop shaking. I want to say Parkinson's, but I'm not totally sure. But regardless, they just shake uncontrollably. And I saw a documentary about marijuana, and it showed a patient who was just shaking, could not even feed himself. It was just terrible. If you feel really bad for the guy, but he smokes a joint, and within minutes he is completely manageable. I mean, he still has a little twitch, but just a world of difference. So right there. And then that's with marijuana, which has far fewer side effects than something like a nasty pill like Oxycontin or morphine or Percocet or a muscle relaxer or God knows what else they give to people for that. This is marijuana that literally has no withdrawal, very minimal side effects. I guess the only negative side is the fact that he's smoking it, because ultimately smoking anything can't be, necessarily good for you. But I guess actually I've heard there are some herbs out there that are supposed to be good for you. But I mean, just the fact of breathing in smoke, and I think there is something to that. But with that being said, there's plenty of ways for people to ingest marijuana, whether it's through, they could, well, bake it. I mean, in food, they could do so much. They could do like THC butter. You could. I mean, literally, there's so many ways for people to ingest it that doesn't involve smoking. So yeah, the fact that it can be used medicinally is great. And but what I was saying, going back to my main point, is the fact people always start this, legalization argument on the side of, it's kind of like they're trying to slide it in there with legalization. But I think they should just be more straightforward and saying, look, well, especially with marijuana, I mean, it's ridiculous it's illegal. Look, it hasn't killed a single person, not one person it has killed. It is freaking impossible to overdose on marijuana. Um, it is far less destructive than alcohol. When you hear of someone beating their kids, getting in a car and running over a crowd of people, abusing their girlfriend or wife, or just going crazy, and snapping out in public, going postal, 9 out of 10 times they'll be either on, uh, like pharmaceuticals, or obviously drunk. Drunk was the main thing. But actually, this ties into another point. There's just so much I could say on this topic. But I'll be playing clips of all of the school shooters, and like the vast majority of the people who snap and do these mass murders where they just kill a bunch of people at once, go postal, like Columbine and Virginia Tech, were all on or getting off of psychotropic, Prozac, SSRI type drugs. And one thing I want to say, so marijuana is illegal, alright, but we prescribe these drugs that are just uncomparable to marijuana, what they do to you. We prescribe Oxycontin to people, which is chemically as addictive or more addictive than heroin. Very, very close. Oxycontin. People will literally rob, pharmacies for it. They'll hold up robberies, not for money, but for some stupid little pills that they're just so addicted to. I mean, that's incredible. And the fact that, see, this is just, it's all about big pharma, big profits. The only reason marijuana is not legal now is because they haven't figured out a way to make a bunch of money off of it. But they're already working on that. Actually, Monsanto is looking into ways to have their own little genetically modified marijuana, and corrupt the strand, just like they've done with so many other crops. GMO marijuana, this is no joke. You can look it up. There are, because I think they know marijuana is pretty close to being legalized. I have full faith that marijuana will eventually just have to be legalized. I mean, it's just so blatantly obvious that it's a complete crock, that it's illegal. I really do think it'll be within, it could be really soon or it could be within 20 years, but I don't know. I just cannot see it staying illegal. I mean, there's absolutely no logical argument for it to remain illegal. Um, so yeah, they'll give you, OxyContin, which will make you an addicted fiend if you're abuse it at all, or if you take it too long, or simply just if some people, man, opiates just click with them and they get addicted. Different people's body chemistries, they get addicted to different drugs. So OxyContin will make you a literal junkie, and they'll prescribe that to you. Sure, they make a lot of money on that. I'm sure it's expensive, but they won't let you smoke an herb, marijuana, in your own residence to help you feel better. Something that's never killed anyone, that has no withdrawal symptoms or minimal. I've heard some people say there's marijuana withdrawal. I'll just say openly, I have smoked marijuana. It's not something I'm ashamed of. I don't do it anymore. But withdrawal from marijuana sounds like a joke to me. I don't know. But anyways, it's not even comparable to OxyContin or morphine or these hard drugs that people get addicted to and then have to be put on some type of methadone or Suboxone, another medication, to get weaned off of it. It's incredible how addictive that is. So, yeah, like I said, the only reason marijuana is not legal is it's kind of just this corporatist system, a merger of big government and big pharma. And actually, really, I know a lot of this you've probably heard before, but I think the fact marijuana is not legal is more than just pure financial. I think, and this is from personal experience, I really don't think they want people smoking marijuana, because it really does. I don't want to say open your mind, that sounds cliche, but it can alter your mind to make you look at things from a different perspective and give you a kind of nonconformist view on life. It is much different of a drug than something like alcohol, where it just makes you loud and dumb and docile, basically. Marijuana is definitely not. I really don't think it numbs people. Maybe if they do it all the time and they're just high out of their mind, but marijuana can give you some really great insight, because it does have psychedelic properties to it. So I really think that is a huge reason, because they might be afraid if people start if they smoke marijuana and start realizing things like, oh man, why do I support Barack Obama? Really, I think they're afraid of people getting out of their zombie egotistical fear and desire consciousness, so they gotta keep it clamped down on the sweet leaf. Yeah, so marijuana. Oh, also psychedelics would be a similar thing. It's psychedelics. I think psychedelics in if you just don't do them all the time. Obviously, if you're taking acid or doing mushrooms or whatever it is all the time, you probably could have some issues as far as psychosis and not being able to function basically in normal reality, because you'd be basically on a different plane if you're taking that stuff all the time. Because but I think that's a similar reason why, as like I said with marijuana, why psychedelics like mushrooms are illegal, because God forbid, your average American has a deep spiritual and insightful experience. Oh, that's the last thing they want. They want to make sure you're watching Fear Factor, watching people eat bugs and drinking your fluoride Bud Light. Yeah, those cheap beers have tons of fluoride in them. Just totally mind-numbing ego. Just propping up your ego. Drugs. Alcohol's a drug. Get it through your head. You can't say it's a war on drugs and then have alcohol and tobacco, which are both drugs. Powerful and to the point lyrics right there. You are listening to Black Helicopter Radio. My name is Ed Walker. Today we're going to be discussing something I know all too well, and that is the war on drugs and just the total hypocrisy here in America, and the fact that we have big pharma I am a 1,000 soldiers will soon be gone, plowing through the land to annihilate for peace. Another war child is spawned, sowing seeds of destruction in the name of the beast, damned for all time. Those are some lyrics from a band called Corrosion of Conformity in a song called Damned for All Time. Thought I would open up with that. I think it's some pretty witness to all that is and all that should not be. I am cursed with a vision that forces me to see. Sometimes I pray to an unmoving void, for the day that I may close my eyes to the horror which fills me inside. The teeth in the gears of the killing machine are getting sharper as time moves on, as the politician's wingtip presses on the gas.